building up for that recall. He brings an Arbiter right over top. Once the probes are there, he brings the dropship in. He manages to take positions. Here comes luxury.
Welcome to the Brood War highlights. This is a match between KT Rolster and hITE Sparkies. KT sits alone at the top of the charts with an 8-1 record. They've won their last 4 matches and are looking very strong, being led by their trio of Luxury, Violet, and Flash, who are a combined 20-3. No Luxury for KT tonight though. They're playing a couple of their younger players, Firefist and Tempest, with Flash and Violet showing up in games 3 and 4. hITE on the other hand are in 9th place at 4 and 5, and will need to put up a strong showing to try and take down the leaders. On to game 1 in this match. This is a ZVZ on Heartbreak Ridge between Hogel and Firefist. Firefist for KT Rolster. This is his second game of the season, his other being a loss to Sky High, but he's fared decently overall this year, beating Lita twice to get into the MSL round of 32. Hogel, on the other hand, is 0-2 in Pro League, both of those losses coming at the hands of Zerg players, Savior and Killer. The last time these two players met, in last year's Winners League, Firefist took the victory. Hogel starts things off with a 12 pool, then getting his gas quickly thereafter. Well, Firefist goes for a 9 pool build instead, so he gets Lings out a bit earlier. Both these players then take their natural expansions. Now Firefist's early Lings get here and pressure Hogel back into his base. He's able to set up a contain and keep Hogel inside his base while he brings more reinforcements in and starts hammering away at this natural hatchery. Hogel knows he needs to bust out of this, so he brings down 4 drones to help him try and get out. He does end up losing a couple of those drones, which is costly, and that's a tough spot to get out of, but he does manage to break out and take back his natural. Now both players put down their spires, and then just sit back and wait for those to finish, massing up Lings. Now Hogel moves out first. He tries to attack and bust in here on the natural of Firefist, but Firefist's Mutalisks are out, and he mops up this attacking force, wipes out Hogel's army, and then pushes right back into Hogel's base and takes out this weakened hatchery. Hogel knows he needs to move fast to stay in this game. He takes a large group of Scourge and a couple Mutalisks towards Firefist's base, but he micros his Scourge quite poorly, ends up losing one of his own Mutalisks to Scourge. Down an extra hatchery, he knows he's got no chance. He just doesn't have the larva production to stay up. So Hogel picks up his 3rd loss of the year, Firefist with his 1st win, and KT goes up in this series 1-0. Game 2 is being played on Fighting Spirit between Tempest, the Protoss player in the top right for KT Rolster, and Lita for hITE Sparkies. He's the red Terran player in the bottom left. Now both these players block their chokes off and deny scouting. Tempest puts a little bit of early pressure here on Lita with his first Dragoon out, but a tank quickly pops, and with 6 Marines, Lita drives Tempest all the way back to his base. Tempest meanwhile is getting Observer Tech up in his base, so he'll be ready for these vultures when they come, and he easily fights off Lita's push here. Then both players put down their natural expansions and take their time to macro up. Tempest is the first player to make a move. He comes in with his first about 6 Dragoons and a Zealot and pushes down here into Lita's base. He gets a nice Mind Drag, kills a few mines, but Siege Mode comes up for Lita and he easily fights this off. Now, going straight for early Arbiter Tech, putting down a Stargate and a Templar Archives is Tempest, and now Lita comes up and sets up outside of Tempest's easily shellable natural. Tempest is forced to stop mining, and the tanks start plunking away at this natural expansion. Now a DT comes out and gets a huge Mind Drag here, kills pretty much all the vultures that Lita has there, and then Lita is easily able to clean this up with some Zealots and then his first Arbiter out and some Dragoons. Lita now has his 3rd base up and running while Tempest is still trying to get his established. He's clearing out some mines here and able to put down his 3rd base finally. Lita expecting a recall, and in it comes. It manages to avoid all the mines that Lita has placed, but it still gets completely mopped up. Tempest throws away his entire army for almost nothing. Now Tempest starting his 4th base in the bottom right and is pumping Arbiters off of 2 Stargates. Lita though knows about this 4th base and moves down here with a force of goons across the map and 2 tanks. Another unlucky Mind Drag though. He loses almost all his vultures here again, and then Tempest comes down and easily clears up this attack. And now this is up at the 4th base for Lita, who's just getting it started. An Arbiter just wanders all over his base, eventually recalling down here at the mineral only, but once again it basically gets cleared up for almost nothing. Tempest throws away his 2nd army on another recall. Lita now suicides about a dozen vultures into this 4th base of Tempest, kills a lot of probes there, and then comes down where Tempest is trying to get his 5th base established at the 6 o'clock position and takes this base out too. But while his troops are down there, Tempest moves across up into the 4th base of Lita and gets a really big stasis here on Lita's tanks. He gets about 5 tanks in that stasis and is able to just walk into this base and totally clear it up. He ends up killing this command center before it can get repaired with his Arbiter that follows it down. Now Lita's trying to counterattack. He moves across the map to hit at Tempest mineral only, but Tempest moves his army down from Lita's 4th base to hit the mineral only there as well. So both players trade their mineral onlys, but that leaves Lita with 0 mining bases, while Tempest still has bottom right and top middle mining. He then moves in with his arbiters. He has so many arbiters now, stasising all of the tanks here, and Lita loses his entire army. Now he does manage to get his mineral only back online, but while he's trying to pressure this 12 o'clock base, he loses a lot more troops again from Tempest's army. Tempest then moves his army right around the map into the mineral only again, takes out this base once again. Lita does do a nice job stopping this 5 o'clock base from running, but he has nothing mining. He has to GG. It's a well-played game from both players, but KT Rolster goes up 2-0. Game 3 is a TVZ on Fighting Spirit between Flash and Yarnak. Flash for KT Rolster has won 14 of his last 15 games, 7 of which are TVZ. He's looked so strong this year. Yarnak, on the other hand, hasn't seen a lot of playing time this year. He's 2-1. His last ZVT was versus Ruby over a month ago, a game that he lost. Yet he's lifetime 4-2 versus Flash, and the most recent of those wins coming in the Bacchus OSL last June. Now Yarnak starts off with a 12 hatchery build, and he does a nice bit of micro here early on. He snipes this SCV to deny the scout, and Flash's teammate and Yarnak's twin brother Luxury looking on, not sure what to think of that. Now Flash going for a 1-rack into fast expand, sends down another scout. Again this gets denied, so he's running blind here, although it's a 2-hatch muta build, which I think Flash expects from Yarnak. But he might not expect this extra hatchery that Yarnak puts down here at the 7 o'clock position. Now Flash moving out with his first group of Marines and Medics. Yarnak not ready for it. He's just getting his Mutalisks out and he's just starting up Sunkens. He heads straight for Flash's base though with his Mutalisks and basically gives up his natural expansion, but he's doing a lot of damage up in Flash's base. Flash charges through here, picks off these Sunkens. Yarnak's forced to build Sunkens up in his main base. He loses all his drones down at his natural, but he's still doing a lot of damage up in Flash's base, but no economic damage, picking off a lot of turrets and Marines. Eventually these turrets get up for Flash, force Yarnak's troops back. Yarnak does manage to force a few lifts on the barracks, but eventually Flash's troops get back here. Yarnak tries to stay here and fight, but he's lost his natural. He loses a lot of Mutalisks to this group from Flash, and Flash quickly makes short work of Yarnak. So hITE Sparkies goes 3 and out, and KT is able to sweep them and go to 9-1 on the season. hITE Sparkies drop to 4-6. Not a good showing here from them.